Hey everybody, welcome once again to DVD Tuesdays, the only DVD review show that is still trying to alternate back and forth between anime and live action film, even though we're running low on live action films, at least live action Japanese ones. Maybe I'll get into American films at some point. But I'm going to be talking about Versus, which is a somewhat famous, perhaps even infamous Japanese action film by Ryuhei Kitamura. This movie is just pure action fun. This is what happens when a newbie director with no money is so determined to make a movie that he will do it with whatever actors he can find, whatever props they can manage to scrounge together, and shot in the forests of like Mount Fuji or wherever the hell they filmed this. They just went out into the mountains into a forest and shot a movie. A zombie action vampire spectacle romp. So basically, the plot of this movie is that the main character is a prisoner who escapes, and he escapes into the mountains, and there's basically a bunch of weird, wacky characters all end up in these forests called the Forest of Resurrection, and they're all just kind of there. And zombies start attacking, and so they have to figure out how to deal with it. So you've got like a bunch of Yakuza gangsters who are all like comically over the top, stylish, cool guys in sunglasses, trying to do whatever the hell they were trying to do, whack somebody, I guess. Then you've got the escaped prisoner main character. You've got a police team who are wandering this forest, and then you've got like a vampire demon lord or something. It's fucking weird. But the main purpose of this movie is action scenes. I mean, everyone's very goofy. Everyone's very like, if you've seen movies like Smokin' Aces or like, any of those like Seven Psychopaths style movies, those Seven Psychopaths itself is a deconstruction of those movies. But like any of that, the stuff that like that people did to copy Quentin Tarantino, but they all made stuff that's way more focused on just gangsters and violence than like actual good dialogue. This just falls in with that kind of movie, except on the lowest imaginable budget and with that special Japanese brand of insanity brought to it, where there's like extended kung fu sequences against zombies, and there's scenes where it'll just be characters just shooting guns for like 10 minutes and as many cool camera angles as the director could come up with. Like, he found every conceivable way to shoot a guy shooting a zombie. Like, there's no stone left unturned in finding every different visual angle to represent that. So, I mean, this thing, it's pretty juvenile, and it's very much like I just want to make a movie about cool guys shooting guns, and they can all be silly caricatures for all I care. It does get bogged down towards the end, though, because it does try to develop a plot, and the plot is batshit insane, and it's explained mostly through incredibly long exposition monologues. So you've got this movie that, for the most part, is just a nonstop string of either goofy dialogue or insane violence, and then it just, like, totally hits a snag and becomes plot driven, leading up to its final big fight. So, like, it's not a great movie, and it's corny and it's goofy, but it has so much heart to it. It's such a fun time to just watch like, if you just want to see that kind of movie of like a bunch of dudes shooting each other, like, this is a great B movie. It's a great slam a few beers and watch a bunch of gunfights and maybe cut it off halfway through when it gets boring. Like, what's most important to me about this movie, me and my brother watched it when we were teenagers, and we really enjoyed it, but, like, it was specifically that it's so low budget and that it's so, like, ragtag, that it was really inspiring, because I wanted to make a movie like this. I also wanted to do a movie of just like a bunch of dudes in a forest swinging swords, and guns and shit like that. And Ryuhei Kitamura, his story, which I find legendary, is that he was 16 years old and he stood up in class one day and he said all through high school all he had done was go to the theater and watch Blade Runner and Mad Max all the time, and he was really into like handmade movies. And so he got up in class one day and said, "I'm dropping out to go become a film director." So then he went to film school in Australia, which I guess his parents paid for. Australia is pretty close to Japan, but I'm sure he's got some money in this. But so he goes to film school in Australia for 2 years, spends the whole time he's there also sitting around watching Blade Runner and Mad Max over again, throws together a no-budget student film for his final project and manages to graduate. Comes back to Japan, and he's like at a party, and he sees the main character guy for this movie was just some street fighter. He he found him in the street. He found him in the middle of a street fight, and he told him, "Don't fight in the streets, come fight in my movie," and invites him to meet him at a party. And when he gets to that party, the director himself is in a fight at the party. So these are just a bunch of fucking violent maniacs throwing together a movie on a shoestring budget. He gathered together people who look like they can fight, or people who look like actors who can fight, and throws them all in a film and has them, use a bunch of toy guns and swords to kill each other and badly done zombie makeup. Like, it's corny, but it's a ton of fun, and it was really inspiring to me. Nothing really came out of me trying to become a director, but my brother Victor is still pursuing that career, and I would say that this movie was a large part of what influenced us in the beginning to even attempt to become directors. So yeah, it's cool in that sense. If you're someone who wants to become a film director and you don't have any money or like idea what you're doing, this is a good movie to watch just to understand that you can make an entertaining spectacle just by, again, going out into the woods with a bunch of toys. Like, you can still make something that's fun and engaging with even the most minimal of resources, as long as you're willing to fucking actually do it, which is, where I fell short as a director. But this guy who made this movie, Ryuhei Kitamura, went on to direct Godzilla Final Wars, which is also badass, which was the last Japanese Godzilla movie until Shin Godzilla by Hideaki Anno. And he's done a bunch of other stuff that's not as well known, but Versus launched his career. I mean, this was an international success. This low-budget fucking movie about fighting zombies in the woods became a worldwide success and launched the career of this director. So, definitely inspirational, to say the least. And it can be fun. So maybe give it a shot.